Hello, everybody, and welcome to another edition of Inside Guns with your host, me, the Yankee Marshal. Today, I want to talk about the events of yesterday, and I want to delve into some very specific questions I've received and make some clarifications that some people have asked me to make. And now, before I go on, I want to remind everybody once again, I'm filming this the day it actually happened. Because of my crappy third world internet, I have to film the night before and upload overnight, or I don't get stuff on the internet. So if something else happens between now and then, forgive me, but I'm going by what I know tonight. So I want to address what happened yesterday, just to refresh everybody's memory in case you forgot. A bunch of pro-Trump demonstrators showed up at the Capitol and protested. Now, the vast majority of them were completely peaceful. Didn't see a lot of fights, didn't see a lot of engagements, didn't see a lot of shouting matches, didn't see a lot of anything. Especially not compared to some of the other protests we've seen in the last year. So it was fairly peaceful until some people decided to go into the Capitol. Now, even the people that went inside of the Capitol, I was, not thinking it was the worst thing in the world, because I'm a fan of civil disobedience. I'm a big fan of protest. I'm a big fan of the First Amendment. I am an ally to anyone who's out there expressing their grievances against the government, whether I agree with them or not. I apply that evenly across the board, be it BLM, Antifa, the KKK, or Trump supporters. Now, I will say one thing. Just like I said with the BLM protesters, most of them are peaceful. But those of them that are not, I have little regard for. Like I said, if they're marching down the street, even if they're like blocking traffic or maybe slightly trespassing, as long as they're not harming anyone, I'm okay. I support their First Amendment right. If they kick the door down to a business, as far as I care, they can get met in the face with a shotgun blast, because they've crossed over from protester to criminal at that point. Riots are not protected. Now, like I was saying in this case, most of the people there were thousands of people there. Thousands. This was a fairly large protest. Most of them stayed outside. I didn't see a lot of issues. Didn't see a lot of fights. Didn't see a lot of conflict. Didn't see a lot of property damage. I wasn't seeing people bouncing up and down on cars or setting things on fire. I didn't see people throwing bricks through windows of businesses or anything like that. So I wasn't that offended by what's going on. Do I agree with these people that are supporting Trump? Even if that's what they're there for, if that's their sole purpose, which, let's get one thing straight, that wasn't what everybody was there for. There were a lot of agitators there, a lot of people that had other grievances. There were just different varieties of people there. But let's deal with the Trump supporters. Do I support them and what this thing was about? No, I don't. Period. No more than I supported BLM or Antifa. But I support their right to assemble and be heard by the government. And I don't care if the government is currently doing business inside. They still have a right to be outside protesting and expressing their distrust and their dislike of what's going on. That's their First Amendment rights. Now, some of them took it too far and went inside when they weren't allowed inside. And that's okay for me. It's trespassing. But like I said, I'm a fan of civil disobedience. I sometimes think the only way you're going to be heard is to be a little disobedient, especially if you're not hurting anybody. Now, if you're hurting people, that's different. But just property issues, like I'm not even that concerned about a broken window or two, and I'm definitely not concerned that much about trespassing. I even noted that a lot of the people that were in there, they looked like they were being pretty orderly. They were staying inside the velvet ropes. They weren't pulling statues down. There were a lot of statues around. I didn't see a rope around a single one of them's neck yanking them to the ground. So I wasn't following the media's idea that, oh my God, this is the worst tragedy we've ever seen, the biggest attack on our democracy, blah, blah, blah. I think these people have forgotten the 60s and the 80s and some of the 70s. Because as far as tragedies go, I think Kent State was worse. That's just one. So considering only one person died, well, actually, they're saying 4 people died, but it was just one person that died from conflict, and there were 3 medical emergencies, like heart attacks, things like that during the day in the area. With that many people there, not surprising. A lot of people getting stressed, a lot of older people there, probably doing more than they've done in a long time. So not surprised there. So I was okay with all that. But just like with the BLM people, where I said if they kick in a door and they get a shotgun blast to the face, fine. Same thing with the people that went into the Capitol. If you start breaking through barriers or fighting with security or kicking in doors or things like that, you get shot in the face. That's what happens. Consequences have action. Actions have consequences. And you have to be able to accept the consequences of your actions. So I said, well, you're belittling the life of that young woman that died there. No, I'm not. It's a tragedy that someone died. But it was someone that was engaged in activities they shouldn't have been engaged in. I do find it tragic when young people involve themselves in situations that are far too serious for them to understand the ramifications of, and they get hurt. So the people I really blame for that was, well, of course I blame the Capitol Police who fired the shots, but I blame whoever brought a 16-year-old. Someone told me she's 16. If that's true, that's sad. If they're an adult, well, then they're responsible for their actions. And I'm not going to shed a whole lot of tears over them, someone who's committing a crime and suffers a consequence of it. And someone said, well, you'd feel differently if it was one of your sons. Well, of course I would. Because I'm emotionally attached to my son. That doesn't mean I would defend the circumstances of his death, though. If he was in the commission of a felony and got shot, I'd be like, whatever happened? Why did he do this? Why was he committing a felony? Oh, I wish he hadn't have been shot. But I wouldn't say, oh, well, he didn't have that coming to him. He wasn't doing anything wrong. And this is true. No, I'd accept the fact that he was committing a felony. And then I'd be heartbroken. And I would also feel like a failure as a parent that my son was shot while committing a felony. So, no, I don't feel that differently about it if it was my kid or that kid. Just the emotional attachment would be the different thing. So, like I said, this person got shot. There's consequences to actions, even if you're young. If a crowd is breaking into a secured area and the police start to fire, and even if it's the most innocent one in the group that gets hit, it's still not the fault of the police that are doing their jobs. So that's how I stand on this whole thing. And what I like most about this whole thing, or, I don't like, but the thing that strikes me the most about this whole thing is the hypocrisy that's being exposed on all sides and at all different levels. People today were calling me a hypocrite. Oh, you're a hypocrite. You're playing this down and you're a hypocrite. And I'm like, I don't think you know the meaning of that word. Because all this summer I was being called a communist and a traitor because I was supporting the First Amendment rights of BLM. Whether I agreed with their message or not, made it clear I didn't agree with BLM. But I supported their right to be there, be nonviolent, and be heard. Same thing with Antifa, the KKK, anything like I say. Let them have their moment. But if any of them commit a crime during their moment, deal with them accordingly. So when people say, oh, you didn't see a whole lot of violence, what about the pipe bombs? For one, I haven't seen any hard evidence that were any pipe bombs. And believe me, I've seen so many after-action reports in my history, in my career, where bombs were supposedly found on the scenes, bombs were discovered and made safe. And it turns out, yeah, they were made safe because it was actually just an empty backpack or a pencil box. I've seen both of those things actually happen. But the media report was bombs were found or possible bombs were found, and you never heard another word after that. So if it turns out someone did leave pipe bombs at the Senate, find them. There's security everywhere, cameras everywhere, high definition cameras. Figure out who it was. If you can't figure out who they were, find out people around them. Let them find out who it was. Put that person in jail. Put them on trial. I firmly support that. But here's the thing. Here's some of the hypocrisy. If you're a gun channel or a conservative that was bitching about BLM, oh, they're trespassing in a private neighborhood, but then you're okay with these people storming the Capitol, you're a hypocrite. If you're someone on the left that was okay when BLM was committing violence and crimes, and you're just like, oh, they're just angry, and that's, you have to understand, and blah, 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 but you're not okay with this, you're a hypocrite. Period. Now I think some people see why I strictly enforce the policy upon myself of support every person's First Amendment rights, their right to assemble, and be consistent in in the way I think of civil disobedience. Because that way I don't have to be a hypocrite just because I agree or disagree with what they're saying or what their cause is. Like I said, if you're a conservative or a gun channel that was out there fear mongering off of the activities of BLM and Antifa, like really riling people up because of a bunch of fucking teenagers occupying a city block, and you were acting like the world was falling, but you got nothing to say about this, you're a fucking hypocrite. You're a piece of shit, as far as I'm concerned. If you're someone on the left that's like, oh my God, they're trespassing on the Capitol, and oh my God, but it's okay when Antifa blocks highways, which creates a much more dangerous situation, then you're a hypocrite. If you only support people when they say something you want to hear, and you don't other times, and you don't enforce the same beliefs evenly across people you agree with and disagree with, you're a hypocrite. And hopefully you're smart enough to realize that, and sincere enough a person to realize that and make a change. Stop getting into this identity politics garbage. It's okay when my side does it because our cause is good, but it's not okay when their side does it because I don't agree with their cause. It's not up to us to agree with each other's causes. It's just up to us to support each other's rights. So that's one of the things I thought to say about this. It exposes so much hypocrisy. And me, the one person who supported the BLM protests, supported Antifa protests, I even believe the Klan should be able to speak if they want to. And I support these people, the people yesterday or today, actually, I filmed this early. That's not hypocritical. For those of you saying that's hypocritical, I don't think you understand what the word means. Because I've been very consistent. And I will not blow violence out of proportion. Thousands of people there. A handful of them do something despicable. Well, that handful should be dealt with. And the other people are not guilty by association. Just like if there's a BLM protest with 10,000 people there and 80 people loot a building and set it on fire, all those other people don't deserve to be dispersed because of the actions of a few criminals. They're peacefully protesting. If we ever get to a point where, we could break up any protest because someone commits a crime or someone throws a brick through a window, then how hard is it to sabotage the other side? Every time we have a gun rally, they just have to have someone show up and throw a brick at a cop, even if it's another undercover cop in the crowd that throws the brick, and then they can roust us all off and we don't get our say. So I don't go for that shit. The people that showed up today at the Capitol, did they do anything good for gun rights? No. In fact, they hurt gun rights. If their goal was to promote gun rights, they're morons. Because a lot of the stuff that's already set to be bills this term are things that prevent carry on Capitol grounds and other things. And this is just going to spur that on. If they wanted to gain support for the right side of the argument when it comes to gun control, they didn't make any friends on the left today. If this was supposed to be a political thing, and if it was an event that I was going to be involved in, I'd be like, everybody stay the fuck home and don't make us look bad because it isn't going to achieve anything. Which it today didn't achieve anything. Right now they're doing the very thing they tried to stop them from doing. Those people that actually came into the Capitol. So what did they accomplish? The people that actually broke the rules and went too far, they accomplished nothing except for pushing forward anti-gun beliefs, pushing forward anti-conservative beliefs. That's all they accomplished. And like I said, they exposed the hypocrisy of so many people on the right and the left, especially in the gun community. Like I said, where are the people that were screaming, oh my God, when BLM was giving speeches on a city corner, on a city street? Where are they tonight? Why aren't they screaming bloody murder about what's going on at the Capitol and how we all got to do something about this? Where are they? They're nowhere because they only fearmonger off the things they know won't make their base mad. Because if the people who use their discount codes get mad, well, they're screwed. They can't have that, can they? So that's basically what I want to say. Oh, and I also want to point out the hypocrisy of the fucking politicians. All those ones that were, we're on the pro-Trump side. We think this stuff needs to be heard. They scurried into those tunnels just as fast as everybody else did as soon as they thought there was the least little bit of trouble. When in reality, they were more than happy to foster dissent within the regular world because they didn't think it would ever touch their special world. As soon as reality started to encroach upon their little world, they panicked just like everybody else and ran. And then many of them came back and goes, no, I can't support this anymore. Well, Well, that just shows us where your convictions are. Not that I support it, but I'm just saying, you showed how wishy-washy you are. And the leftist politicians, the ones that don't like guns and think they're evil and blah, 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 boy, they sure did want those Capitol Police there quick with their guns, didn't they? As soon as it looked like the real world was going to have some consequence on them, they wanted those people with guns there real fast, didn't they? And I want to address another issue, another thing people are mad about. And they're like, I can't believe you're belittling this thing and you're giving these people the benefit of the doubt when this happened. And it's the fact that how they were dealt with. Like when BLM showed up at the Capitol, Trump had the National Guard surrounding everything and had police mobilized from different states and all different counties on everything. There was a cop for every 10 people practically. You know, they really sent the message of we're going to use force to keep you in line. And it didn't happen this time because they were white. That's a lot of people's opinion. And even if that's true, here's the thing. Your argument isn't with the white people because they didn't get treated poorly, any more so than it is with the black people because they did. Your argument's with the people in power that made the decision to not treat this protest the same way they treated the Black Lives Matter protest. It isn't the demonstrators that were wrong because, yeah, you demonstrate and you get a selfie with a cop. You're an asshole. No, the cops are the assholes because they treated them differently than they treated Black Lives Matter. The people in power are the assholes because they treated them differently than they did the other group. So if that's your argument, you have to look at who's really at fault there. No one in that crowd today decided what the response from government was, no more so than BLM members did. So put your blame where it belongs. Because that's not really something that's a fault of any of the people that protest. So like I said, people that protested in the right way and were there and were angry and were being heard, fine. Just like all the BLM protests, fine. The violence that did happen, the unfortunate loss of one life and 3 other medical emergencies, it's not good, but freedom has costs. Just like the looting, the fires with the BLM protest. They aren't good. Freedom has price. And if you can't enforce that opinion equally across the board, you're a hypocrite. If you have to find yourself today trying to think up reasons why this is different, then you're either a hypocrite or a racist, one or the other. Either way, I ain't a big fan of it. So that's what I wanted to say today. Nobody's belittling anything. Nobody's saying some people didn't do things wrong. Was the level of violence catastrophic today? No. Not anywhere near what we saw in some of the BLM protests. What we've seen in history. No, it wasn't the worst thing to ever happen in U.S. history like the media was trying to portray it. And it's funny how they were so quick to say, mostly peaceful protesters with BLM, and they switched quickly to mob and rioters and traitors in this case. And they didn't just use that to say that about, well, these people that are actually kicking in doors are violent rioters. No, they just used it as a blanket statement for the entire demonstration today. So hypocrites there also. But I think I've been pretty even-keeled in my opinions about all of them. And that ain't going to change, whether you like it or not. I'm not going to fearmonger. I'm not going to act like the sky's falling when it's not. I'm not going to demonize certain groups of people because I don't agree with them. Not going to happen. Whether you are on the left or whether you're on the right, if that's what you want from me, you're not going to get it. I'm not here to make you happy. I'm not here to make friends with you. So you'll just have to deal with that. But like I said, end of story. Today was mostly about exposing hypocrisy of a whole bunch of people. And it was mostly about a bunch of people that protested in the right way and some people who did things the wrong way. And those people should be dealt with, but you don't get to condemn everyone because of the actions of a few. All right, that went really long today, and I'm sorry for that, but there was just a lot of stuff I wanted to say. So I'm going to cut the show short today because, like I said, I've been trying to get these down to 15 minutes. Doesn't seem like it's happening. I do want to remind everyone before I go, if you have been a beneficiary of the TYM Triple P, please get me your FFL information. I'm trying to get everything caught up. We actually have some G2Cs in stock now, so I can get some people caught up on the list. We've sent guns to every person who's actually responded, but we're waiting on several people to respond. A couple people from November, a couple people from December still haven't responded. I think there's one person from October that hasn't responded. So please send us your information. Check your email. If you ever applied, check and see if you got selected, and get me your FFL information. Also, with that being said, I want to remind everyone that this channel is 100% viewer funded, which is why I'm not here to say what makes people happy. If people decide they don't want me here, they'll just stop funding me. And then I'll still make videos telling people what I want to tell them. I just won't be able to do TYM Triple P, Pets and Vets program, friend program, that stuff, because that's what you guys fund when you become a patron. So check out the channel, check out TYM Triple P over on the website, and see if you want to be a patron. Go over to tympistolproject.com, check everything out. If you like it, go over to patreon.com/The Yankee Marshal, become a supporter of the channel. And with that being said, I will sign off today like I always do by saying, as far as the state of the world today is concerned, well, it is what it is. It isn't as bad as what some people like to make it out to be, but it is what it is. But what things will be in the future, if we all stick together, if we play fair, if we treat other people like we want them to treat us, and we don't act like hypocrites, and we don't give in to the fear-mongers, and we stay together and we fight in the right way after weeding out the fear-mongers and the profiteers, what things will be in the future for everybody is better. Damn it. I am a grown-ass man.